The Blue Jackal. Once upon a time, there was a vast jungle with many different animals living there. The spotted jackal was one of them. He would sneak through the tall grass every day at dusk, looking for some tasty prey. Despite the ongoing search, it had been a while since he'd chanced upon any leftovers from other animals, or even a single tiny morsel. The now skinny and famished jackal wandered the forest with his empty stomach rumbling out loud like a full orchestra in concert. One day, the jackal was so hungry he could have eaten a horse. So he strayed off to the nearby village to look for something to snack on. It wasn't long before the village dogs noticed him. The scared jackal couldn't even count how many of them there were. At least 6 for sure. The dogs cornered him. Their blood-curdling barking echoed through the village. They pierced the jackal's back with their razor-sharp teeth. He managed to escape simply by a miracle. He ran and he ran, all the while knowing that the dogs were hot on his heels. Desperate to escape almost certain death, the jackal ran into one of the village houses. Inside, he found several large buckets. Trying to hide from the angry dogs, he jumped into one of them. What he didn't know is that the buckets were filled with blue paint. Looking down at himself, he realized that he was completely blue from head to tail. And what's more important, he didn't look like a jackal in the slightest. He went outside, and the dogs never recognized him thanks to his new looks. He snarled and growled, and they thought the creature in front of them was some mysterious animal they had never seen before. Trembling and terrified, they fled. Still starving and unhappy, the jackal returned to his den. On his way, he stopped at a stream and tried to wash away the new colour, but his efforts failed. Each animal that saw him was scared to death and quickly ran away. Parrots screeched, and even the lion hurried away at full pelt, thinking, "What an odd animal indeed! It's small, but it looks very strong, and that colour just isn't natural. Best to stay away." Having realized all the animals were terrified of him, it occurred to him that he really ought to be using this in his favour. "Hey, animals," he shouted, "don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. The God of all things has sent me." To you, because you don't have a king. I will be your king now, and I swear to protect everyone who lives here. He sounded convincing indeed. All the animals took the bait without a second thought. They bowed and kissed his paws and said, "We humbly await your instructions, Your Majesty. Your every wish is our command." And so the jackal happily took over his royal duties, giving each animal tasks and responsibilities. They had to show the king proper respect and put up with his whim, of course. His content and comfort were of paramount importance. Needless to say, this meant that he made every one of his subjects bring him food, so he wouldn't have to hunt. However, the Blue King tried to keep out of sight of his fellow jackals. He was at great risk of being revealed. Even though his coat was blue, the fear that his pack would recognize him bothered him. He even ordered the lions to drive the jackals out of the jungle, saying that they were a threat to everyone's safety. The days flew by slowly, and the blue jackal's reign continued. Smaller animals would constantly wait on him paw and foot, fulfilling all his wishes, and lions and tigers would bring him whatever prey they had caught that day. The jackal would then split the food between himself and his subjects. The savannah had become a calm and peaceful place, but the happiest of all the creatures was, of course, the old jackal. One evening, however, a distant howling echoed through the grasses. And reached the Blue King's ears. It was the exiled pack of jackals. He couldn't control himself. His innate instincts came alive, and he started howling back at the pack. The other animals were confused. Why was their king howling like a jackal? But soon they realized that this was no mysterious animal. It was just an ordinary jackal who had been pulling their legs all this time. They felt humiliated, then very, very angry. They couldn't forgive the trickster for fooling them like this. Finally, the lion spoke out. He was furious. "That sly jackal tricked us, and he'll pay for it. He's in for a cruel punishment." The moment the jackal realized what was happening, he tried to flee as fast as he could, but the angry animals caught him, and along with the rest of his pack, exiled him to the edge of the savannah. The reign of the blue jackal was over, and the rest of the animals went on to live happily without a king.